Okay, finding inverses. So the inverse is when you undo the function. So what we're talking about here would be undoing a parabola. So one way to do it is to change your f of x to y, that's your y. And then you want to interchange the x and the y. So this would be the x is y minus 2 squared plus 3. And then you want to solve for y. So interchange your x and y, and then solve for y. So first thing we do is subtract the 3, and then we would take the square root. So y minus 2 is the plus or minus square root of x minus 3. So y is the plus or minus square root of x minus 3 plus a 2. Now in terms of talking about this, whether or not this is a function, we've got a couple of options. One is to graph the original. I'm going to graph the original in red. So that would be to the right 2 and up 3, and you know that's a parabola. So you may remember the horizontal line test. If a horizontal line goes through the original, then the inverse won't be a function. And again, we can talk about domain and range here. This is the original. Or we can look at graphing this. We see that there's a plus or minus, so you know what's going to happen there. This one would be to the right 3 and up 2. So go to the right 3 and up 2. There's my positive and there's my negative. Remember, inverses are reflections of each other over this line y equals x. The domain of this one would be the range of the original, and the range is the domain of the original. That's not it. And you can see again that it's not a parabola. It's not a function. You can touch it twice with a vertical line. If we start off with this one that is a square root, again, first let's write the inverse. So the inverse would be, again, we start with y equals the square root of x minus 2 plus 3. So x is the square root of y minus 2 plus 3. Subtract the 3. And we're going to square both sides. So y minus 2 is x minus 3 squared. So you can leave it as x minus 3 squared plus 2. You could multiply that out. That would be plus 9 plus a 2, which is plus 11. And there's the inverse. I forgot to use the notation before. F negative 1 is the inverse. But the problem here is if you think of this original graph, so again, I'll do the original here in green. This would to the right 2 and up 3. And that's a square root. It's only half and this is a square root. It's half of a sideways parabola. So its domain, remember we did this in domain and range, is 2 to infinity, and its range is 3 to infinity. So down here with this graph, the domain would be 3 to infinity, and the range would be 2 to infinity. Which means we have to restrict this graph back here. So this would be this parabola, but x has to be greater than or equal to 3, because we're only going to have this part of it. Let's see, to the right 3 and up 2, but only this part of it we have in that graph. So that's something you have to watch out for when you're doing the inverse of a square root.